Good morning, and it is about 5 o'clock or 4:55 in the 2025 Camry LE. Ever since I drove this vehicle for the press event, I've been very curious to see if my impressions on it at the time were a fluke, because I thought the vehicle was fantastic, yet being the cheapest in the Camry lineup. And I wanted to do some testing at night with this new Camry LE. With it being the base model, it actually has the same horsepower as the top of the line XLE and XSE models. It's standard hybrid and it has 225 horsepower. And if you want all-wheel drive, which I tested in the XSE, you can get an extra 7 horsepower to 232 horsepower, but your fuel economy does drop just a little bit. I'll be giving you guys a follow-up fuel economy test video. You guys seem to really like that with the XSE. And with the smaller wheels here, a lighter vehicle, I should be able to smash that fuel economy that I got on the XSE. So stay tuned for my fuel economy test video, and stay tuned for my full impressions during the daytime with the Camry LE. But in tonight's video, I should say this early morning video, we're going to be focusing largely on the lights and how the lights differ from the upper models. Ooh, you guys might have saw some lightning there. I mean, right on cue, right? And we're also going to be seeing if this vehicle, this base model with these goofy, dorky wheels, is going to be faster than the XSE all-wheel drive that I tested a month or so ago. So let's check out these lights. All right, so the nighttime lights are obviously on auto right now, and these are very different than we have in the XLE and XSE. Those have more premium headlights. And we're gonna test these on the road when we start driving and tell you my impressions. During the day, it's just the LED light as your daytime running light. On the upscale XLE and XSE that have the fancier headlights, you actually have built-in LED daytime running lights. Here is not the case. You just have an old incandescent bulb in there as kind of your parking light, which are on at the same time as your dual beam LED lights right there. All right, so let's go ahead and turn the turn indicators on so you guys have a better idea. We actually have a turn indicator LED. That's the only LED turn indicator on the car, right there on the side mirror. Find that kind of funny. But looking at the headlights here, yep, that's about it for your turn indicator. Nothing too fancy. Performance is more important than looks when you're talking about a base model, and it is pretty bright. And it's nice that we have a side mirror LED. So let's go ahead and walk to the back of the vehicle and see what the rear tail lights are looking like at night. Again, these rear tail lights aren't as fancy as the XLE and XSE. Incandescent bulb here for the turn indicator. So it doesn't look honestly very premium, but it's a base model. So what do you expect? I can't even tell if these are LEDs back here. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not. But your LEDs on the back are going to be your third brake light right there, nestled at the top of the trunk, and 2 LED lights for the license plate bracket holder. But yeah, the new Camry, even the LE looks pretty decent at nighttime here. And here's the parking lights on. Again, this is not the daytime running lights. The daytime running lights is just the nighttime by LED beam right there. All right, we just turned on the high beams here. Again, the high beams are just going to come straight out of the same by LED setup. Actually, I'm going to call it a tri LED because it does have 3 functions. All right, again, during the day, it acts as your daytime running light. And it is in the dimmest setting. At nighttime, it's brighter. And then it also gets brighter when you slap on those brights. Okay, so it's quite a versatile little headlight there, and I'm excited to tell you guys what it's like on the road. So let's go on the inside though. We'll get on the road and start doing some 0 to 60s here to see if it's quick. This has been my daily driver this week for the kids picking up from school, and there's no ambient lighting in the back. USBs back there are not lighting up, but there are 2 USBs. Only light I'm seeing is this window switch here. Above we have what looks to be an incandescent bulb up there for the door, if you want to set it to the door setting. Coming on the inside, window switches here are nicely lit up, and it shows up blue on the camera. It looks white to my naked eye. All right, so let's go and get on the inside of the base Camry here. You guys kind of saw it when we started it up. We have a 7-inch screen here, which I have no issues with. It's perfectly fine. For my type of driving, I think it's a nice step up because the old Camry's base screen was like a 4-inch screen or something. So here is the other base screen. This is, I think, a 7 or 8-inch screen here. I have no issues with it either. I think it looks decent. It looks a lot better implemented into the dash and the car than Prius's small screen. So it looks decent. It looks fine. All right, below here, your climate control. Real simple. It's getting a little toasty in here, so I'm going to roll down the windows. The AC does take a toll on the battery, so I want to keep the battery charged kind of where it's at, even though I've been draining it a little bit with just keeping the lights and the accessories on. But I want to keep that battery where it's at for a 0 to 60. The USB-Cs are lit up down here, but there's also an accessory light that pours straight into the little storage space down there. And check out MagTame in the description below. You get these magnetic cables that kind of tidy up nicely in and out of your way, and are also amazing travel cables. I use them for my Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, to charge my phone, and also to have a more reliable connection than the wireless connections here. Steering wheel buttons are all very nicely illuminated. Nothing much to say there. Even these buttons on the side for adjusting the brightness of your center screen, right? You just press that same button over and over. Base LE comes standard with the wireless charger. We also have our nice standard physical shifter instead of a little goofy Prius thing. So I like that shifter. And then we also have your driving modes, which we'll get into sport mode here in a little bit. Oh, and I just turned the car off after the review, and these LED lights popped on for, I'd say maybe 10-15 seconds. So these bright LED map lights above. Also, unfortunately, your rear view mirror and your side mirrors, they are not auto dimming here in this base LE, which is going to annoy some of you at nighttime with other people's high beams flying into your eyeballs. All right, we're gonna flip her into sport mode, which this is the first time I've done because I've been trying to milk this thing for fuel economy. You can see the battery is about, I don't know, 80%. We're gonna torque, actually we're not gonna torque brake because the first time I did a 0 to 60 in the XSE, it was 8.33, no torque brake at all. So I'm just gonna hammer and go. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so it's a second faster, more than a second faster 0 to 60 than the XSE all-wheel drive. I didn't expect to be that much faster. All right, I was expecting maybe a quarter of a second or a half second at best. I knew it was going to be quicker because this vehicle is lighter. Even though it's down 7 horsepower on versus all-wheel drive model, but lighter wheels. These they're 16, 17-inch wheels, whatever they are a lot lighter than what we have on the, I think I tested the optional 19-inch wheels on the XSE model. So we're going to torque brake here. No traction issues. When you torque brake, that's where it gets a little bit closer between the XSE and this, poverty build LE model. 6.94 0 to 60 in the Camry LE. And I feel like I don't need to test in it anymore. I'm going to go back to eco mode because I'm in a hybrid and I'm going to put the AC back on. So the two differences I would say that might have an impact on the results compared to my XSE would be, I think my battery is a little bit more full this time. I want to say it was about halfway full last time. That's going to help better acceleration. And I want to say I had the AC on, but in a hybrid, AC doesn't take power away from, or at least as much power away from the setup compared to a conventional gas car when it's, the compressor is running on the belt. The compressor here, it runs electronically, which in theory could take a little bit acceleration away. All right, so how about I do acceleration with AC on now? I think that is fair. I'm going to go ahead and come to a stop here with AC on now. You guys can see the battery's still pretty full. Torque brake. .12. So there's a slight drop in acceleration with the AC on, and it could have been other factors as well, such as maybe I have a 0.7% slope on that last run, so that might have had to do something. All right. So let's talk about the nighttime lights. I think one of you guys in the comments were saying that, hey, you know, if I don't get the fancier daytime running light headlight combination on the XLE or XSE, what am I going to have a poorly performing headlight system? Well, I'm here to tell you that it's still really good. I don't know if it's as good as the XSE. I would have to drive the cars honestly back to back. This still has an automatic high beam, so let's turn those down and actually defeat them right now. I think these low beams here, or I would give them a solid B. They are very bright. I'd say very similar to the XSE. After about 100 yards or so, the light just ends. All right, they're serviceable low beams. I have a good widespread and a good uniformity. There's a little dimness at around my 11 o'clock position, but I can still see where that dimness is, and it's not nearly as bad as I've seen in other cars. All right, so let's talk about the high beams. Well, maybe the high beams aren't quite as bright as some other models, okay, but again, I don't remember how bright the high beams were on the XSE. I can see about 10 feet up into the trees pretty well. My spread doesn't get that much. I feel like my spread doesn't get much wider at all. Sometimes high beams give you a wider spread here, but yes, I can see a little bit further than 100 yards now. I'd say maybe it's about 150 yards. So I've been driving this car at night a couple times. I have no issues with the performance of these simpler, cheaper lights. I think they do really, really well here. So yeah, don't be afraid of getting this car, you know, worrying about the headlights, because they're very, very serviceable and perform quite well. Speaking of performing quite well, so does this vehicle compared to the XSE with the all-wheel drive. It's faster. I was able to crack 7 seconds 0 to 60 here. The closest I got on the XSE was like 7 1/4, and that had the all-wheel drive and the 19-inch wheels, which wasn't doing it any favors for fuel economy either. So yeah, the cheapest Camry is the fastest Camry. You can, you know, chalk that up to just having one powertrain now. So it comes down to which has the lightest load from the factory, because this one does with the least amount of equipment, maybe cloth seats, and smaller wheels. It would have been awesome for Toyota on the XSE to somehow give it more power. You're buying that car for the looks, you're buying it for the swag, you're buying it for the extra features that it gives you. I personally like the two best grades in my opinion is this one, the LE and the XLE. I think they look actually better than the sportier models, just by a little bit, and they are going to give me more of that luxurious feel, which this car actually rides a lot better than that XSE. But stay tuned for my full driving impressions during the daytime with the Camry LE, as well as my fuel economy test, because I think you guys are really going to have a good time, because I know I'm going to be. It's been an absolute pleasure driving this vehicle this week. And again, special thanks to Southeast Toyota and Germain Toyota, my local dealer, for hooking me up with this vehicle this week. It's actually been my first time working with a dealer since leaving working for a dealership, to have cars from a dealership on the channel, if that makes sense. All the cars I get are from the press fleet, but if you guys want to see more interaction with other trim levels that are never seen in a press fleet, because press fleets only 99.9% of the time they only give you like the best selling or the highest spec model. Typically it's the highest spec model, and so I really wanted to get a good idea of the value and the things that this LE accelerated with, or should I say excelled with. Did some accelerating today, and the only way to do that is to either buy a car, buy an LE Camry, or work with the dealer to be able to test drive it for a week or so and give you guys my impressions. All right. So again, thanks to Southeast Toyota, as well as Germain Toyota, my local dealer, for hooking us up for these awesome base Camry LE reviews and driving impressions this week.